Alright guys, welcome to First and Goal. I'm your host, Slavo Rihanna, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. Alright guys, so big news that ended up happening today in the morning. I woke up and the first thing I do is go on Twitter. And I see a video from ESPN of Tom Brady throwing the football towards Drew Brees' son. And the caption says, "This now hits different." And I'm like, what does this even mean? I was like, is this one of those like those nice things that ESPN tries to do whenever they're low on content? So I immediately scroll up and I see breaking news: Tom Brady announces retirement. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't recognize this Twitter handle. I was like, this might be one of those Twitter handles that pays for, to have the blue check marks for $7.99. And I was like, let me go to an actual source. So I looked at my actual source and I'm like, wow, Tom Brady retires. And then I see another, credible source. And it says 365 days prior, that's when Tom Brady announced his first retirement. So I'm like, is this actually for real or not? Because I was like, Tom Brady can't be doing this. He is pulling off a Brett Favre right now. So then I ended up looking at the video that he ended up posting online. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I mean, he really is gonna, call it quits. I was like, wow, 23 years in the NFL, in a grueling sport that normally the expected career span that most NFL players have is about 3 or anywhere between 2.5 years to 5 years. That's the average lifespan. Tom Brady quadrupled that, almost. Was almost going to go into his late 40s, which is unheard of. Nobody's even won anything significantly in their early 40s or entering their 40s, all right? But Tom Brady did that. Now, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm going to try to condense this as much as possible. But looking at his days, all right, Brady coming in as a former Michigan Wolverine, 6th round draft pick 199. We've seen it all. We know the players that were drafted before him. Chad Pennington being the most famous quarterback from the 6 quarterbacks that were picked prior towards him. Now, the road for Tom Brady wasn't easy. The man, was a competitor, and he just kept on striving. I think what really scarred him the most was losing his starting role position at Michigan. All right. And I think that just drove him to the point where he didn't want to ever have anybody right behind him to take his starting position away. We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo. We've seen Jacoby Brissett. We've seen all these players, backed up at Brian Hoyer. All right. And the closest was Jimmy Garoppolo. And you guys saw what happened. Belichick wanted him to keep him and was trying to find an exit strategy for Brady, but Robert Kraft stepped in and was like, nope, we are trading you to San Fran. And since then, you've seen Jimmy Garoppolo strive. All right, but Brady, that man is an Iron Man. That man, it's not much things. There's a lot of things I could say about him. It's the greatest competitor that we've seen in the NFL. Very Michael Jordan-esque when it comes to, drive and determination and grit and willing to try to get the job done to become the best winner as possible. First 20 years of his career were spent in New England. The man reached, new heights, won six Super Bowls. All right. Lost to the Giants twice and the Eagles, okay? So appeared in 9 Super Bowl appearances, okay? In those 9 Super Bowl appearances, he has had a lot of great moments. The stinker, I think out of all of them, in my opinion, even in the losses he's had, the stinker out of all of them had to beat that last one that he won in New England, which he ended up facing the LA Rams, okay? Outside of everything else was pretty much spectacular. I think the best performance he's had in the Super Bowl, in my personal opinion, has to be the one when he was down against Atlanta, down 27-3. All right, trailing, and me in my parents' living room thinking, all right, it's over. All right, Atlanta just needs to run out the clock. But, you had Dan Quinn on the opposite end as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons at that time. Kyle Shanahan as the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. And they never ran the ball. And they gave, you just can't give Tom Brady any chances whatsoever to come back, because that man was going to just keep on swinging and swinging until the final bell, the final whistle happened, and they're saying, these are the Super Bowl champions, and gave Brady plenty of time. A lot of the defense came through that Super Bowl, and Brady was able to come through with plenty of big plays to Danny Amendola, to Julian Edelman. All right, LeGarrette Blount was on that team as well too. A lot of good players on that team. All right, that Brady groomed up to that point. I think what we can recognize as the best team that Tom Brady's ever had was that 07 team. Okay, Wes Welker, Randy Moss. I believe he had Dillon in the backfield. All right, Corey Dillon. You had Teddy Bruschi and Junior Seau on the defense. You had Asante Samuel. All right, a lot of good things that led to a perfect regular season, 16-0, and then falling short against the New York Giants in the Super Bowl, resulting to an 18-1 record. All right, they were the closest team to becoming, perfect during an entire season. All right, Brady had some ups and downs in his career. He missed an entire season right after that 07 loss to the Giants. That first game in Kansas City, getting tackles, getting sacked, and getting hit in the knee by, actually, I don't think it was a sack. I think it was an incompletion because Brady just threw the ball away when he saw Bernard Pollard. All right. But Pollard ended up tackling him right by the knee, causing a torn of the ACL and resulting for him to be out for the remaining part of the season, which was only that first game that he played. I think he didn't even make it to the half, if anything like that. And then Matt Castle took over. But Tom Brady, man, the guy's a legend. 20 seasons, all right. All-time leader in passing yards, all-time leader in touchdowns, all-time leader in touchdowns thrown in a Super Bowl, all-time leader in passing yards in the Super Bowl. All right, he's the winningest quarterback in Super Bowl history, winningest quarterback in playoff history, and winningest quarterback, I believe, in regular season history. All right, the man has so many records. Now, if you ask me if he's the greatest of all time, I think he is. I think longevity has a lot to do with that. Peyton Manning, to me, is the greatest regular season quarterback. All right, I wasn't alive for Joe Montana, but Joe Montana never threw an interception. But Tom Brady, what's it called? The man does have, all right, an excess amount of Super Bowl rings. All right, the man has more than one handful of Super Bowl rings. And to me, championships do matter. Longevity does matter. Him breaking a lot of these records do matter. All right, the man won without Bill Belichick, and that says a lot. All right, a lot of people claim and they say that Bill Belichick is the greatest of all time, and I do believe he is the greatest coach of all time. And I believe it took for Tom Brady to separate from Bill Belichick in order to, get that, for him to solidify himself as the GOAT. Okay, who was the better between the two? And Brady was able to win, at least one without him. But Tom Brady's hanging it up for good at 45 years old. He's about to turn 46 in August. I think it was the right time. I think the game is getting too fast. You got defenders that are too fast. You saw in that playoff game against Dallas, he looked like they didn't want to get hit. I think if he takes a nasty hit at this later into his career, at this portion of his life, it's going to take a long time for him to recover. And I just think that it's the best time to retire is now. He doesn't have anything else to prove. He has no more accolades that he needs to try to achieve. He's pretty much achieved it all. And with that said, congratulations, Tom Brady, on one heck of a career. So then, guys, I am Flavo Rihanna. Thank you for tuning in to First and Goal, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace, guys. Have a good one.